Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Gennady Stolyarov II, and I am the chairman of the United States Transhumanist Party, the chief executive of the Nevada Transhumanist Party, and a strong supporter of radical life extension. And I am tremendously pleased today to have with me James Strole, who is the co-founder and co-director of People Unlimited, and the director of the Coalition for Radical Life Extension, which is the producer of RAAD Fest, a great event that is going to be happening this year from October 3rd to October 6th in Las Vegas. And today, Jim and I will primarily be discussing RAAD Fest, but also other topics related to the pursuit of radical life extension. And we will take some questions, hopefully many questions from our audience. So thank you very much, Jim, for joining us today. It's a pleasure to speak with you.
Well, thank you so much, Gennady. It's great being on. I've been looking forward to this, and I'm happy we have quite a few people online with us. So I'm ready to go. And yeah, we're going to have a great time here this evening. And whether you want to invite everybody to participate in whatever they feel in questions and comments, and we're going to have a great time.
Great. So I'll start with an introduction of the acronym RAAD, which for those who are new to it stands for Revolution Against Aging and Death. And this is a revolution that I'm proud to participate in, but I wanted to know about your original inspiration for starting this new kind of event, because RAAD Fest really is one of a kind. So what went through your mind when you were developing this idea?
Well, first, Gennady, let me thank you for being such a great supporter of RAAD Fest. I think you've been there every year, as far as I can remember, and now we're going to be in Vegas for the fourth year. We were in San Diego the first 3 years. Well, in a nutshell, we got here, People Unlimited, our People Unlimited team, we got together, and we were actually discussing and brainstorming a way that we could actually get out into the super longevity or radical life extension community in a bigger way. And how could we do that? So we started, brainstorming. We knew it was time. We had a great company here called, like I said, People Unlimited, which you've introduced. And we have great events here and longevity, and invite guests and scientists all the time to speak here. But we wanted to broaden what we're doing, and we wanted to also help galvanize the radical life extension community. We thought it was a very necessary thing. So we came up with the idea of creating a coalition for radical life extension. And so we started forming that, and we just had amazing, beautiful response from everyone we reached out to. All the scientists, the doctors. I mean, I can't remember anybody, including yourself, turning this down on this concept. I think the timing was great for it. The inspiration was great. We were excited about it. I was excited when I talked to everybody. I'm a pretty animated person on that level, and I was very enthusiastic about it. So we just started talking to different individuals, everyone from Dr. Bill Andrews to Aubrey de Grey, to every contact that we could make throughout the science community and the doctors. And like I said, we just got such great response in the idea of creating this coalition, and people loved it. And so then we thought, okay, we have the coalition. Now we need to create something that the coalition needs to stand behind to create something to bring people together, because we wanted to have something that was physical. The internet's great. This is something we'll talk about more today too. It's great to have these contacts like we do, this evening, and to be on the internet and make, Facebook, all the social medias. But there's nothing like being in person. So we wanted to create something that was in person, physical contact, create some type of really strong grassroots movement. So we got the idea to create RAAD Fest. One of our associates, members at that time, said that helped us come up with the RAAD Fest name, RAAD, because we were thinking, we knew this was, and of course you share that same feeling, that we're in a revolution, and it's the greatest revolution that I think has been in the face of humankind. I mean, look, it's the most noble revolution. And it's not against each other. It's not a war against each other. I always say, hey, we shouldn't be fighting each other. We should be fighting aging and death. We're not each other's enemies. Aging and death is our enemy. So we created that, RAAD Fest, RAAD. and standing for revolution against aging and death. And we also wanted to make it a festival. You know, we had some of the top scientists, including our great friend, Dr. Bell Andrews, tell us, look, please don't create another, you know, as he put it, quote, you know, boring science event. You know, there's some great events, but at the same time, you know, we need something a little more exciting. So we thought, why don't we create a Woodstock type event for radical life extension? Something fun, something exciting, but also with the idea of drawing in the public. You know, we needed to draw the interest of the public, that they could feel they could come to something that didn't have to be a scientist or a doctor to come to, because we need the public. We needed to create this. And again, the idea was to create a tipping point, a huge amount of people that would begin to get this information and the power of togetherness out into the world. And this is another thing we'll talk more about today. But so this is why we created RAAD Fest, to galvanize the radical life community and to you know, empower people and to educate people from every facet of life. And we were so happy and thrilled when the first year in San Diego, 2016, we had over 1,000 people, almost 1,000 people show up for RAAD Fest. And so it turned out to be the biggest radical life extension event in history. And it's continued to be that. Every year we're growing. This year in San Diego, October 3rd through the 6th, we're expecting 1,200 to 1,500 people. And it's just getting better all the time. We have media outlets. Last year we had over 50 media outlets come from all over the world. 30 different countries came. And so this is why, you know, we created, this is how, in a simple terms, how it got created. And we're just excited how it's moving, because it's all about coming together, sharing information, realizing that we're all on the same team. We're doing this together. And this is the atmosphere we want to create. This is why I'm on here this evening to invite everybody to involve themselves in this. We all have differences of opinions and things, and there's nothing wrong with good debate. What we shouldn't be fighting each other. We need to join together for this great cause.
Yes, I completely agree with you on that. And it's a sentiment that I certainly share, and we will delve into it a bit more. But first, let me follow up on the new venue for RAAD Fest. As you mentioned, RAAD Fest has been held in San Diego for its first 3 years, and this year it will be hosted in Las Vegas. Now, as the chief executive of the Nevada Transhumanist Party, I'm quite pleased to have RAAD Fest come to my state, and to a certain extent, it does make the trip a little bit more convenient for me. But from a more general standpoint, could you describe this new venue in Las Vegas, why it was selected, and what you think it will bring to the RAAD Fest experience?
Yeah, well, yeah, you were in San Diego, and it was a nice venue, and it served us for 3 years. By the way, Newton, you know, who's head of the California Transhumanist Party, is probably going to be pretty upset we're moving out there. But no, he's all excited about Vegas too. He's great. But yeah, we've had a real step up. We needed a new venue. We had actually a vote. I don't know if you remember at RAAD Fest, we asked for a vote where people should, you know, think they would like to have it. And we actually gave that voting privilege to the people who first registered at RAAD Fest. And so Nevada won. You know, you probably voted for Nevada. So that's how that happened. But we were very happy about it because we were leaning towards Nevada ourselves. And so we found a fantastic venue there, the Westgate. It's a huge resort, casino, has everything we need, great rooms. It's an older resort, but they put millions of dollars into renovating it. The rooms are great. It's quite a big step up from San Diego. And we're really excited about it because not only the venue is really beautiful, the rooms are bigger, the venue itself gives us a lot more space because we're expecting more people and we're expecting more exhibitors. You know, we had about 70 or 80 exhibitors last year. We're going to have probably 100 or so this year, and we needed that space. So that's fantastic. And plus, it's got, like I said, a really great, it's off the strip. So it's not as, won't be distracting as much. And I think that's a real key thing because we want to keep people focused too on the event, and people love Vegas. And yeah, so we're excited about being there.
Yes, indeed. And I am looking forward to visiting the Westgate Hotel and exploring the amenities that this venue has to offer. And also, I'm really glad that RAAD Fest can accommodate a larger audience and more exhibitors. I think walking around the RAAD City exhibition hall can be a highly informative experience for people who stop by to talk to some of the exhibitors, pick up their materials. There's a lot of free content that gets distributed at each RAAD Fest. And speaking of that, I have attended all three RAAD Fests, and my personal impression has been that each one thus far has been better than the last.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I hope that that continues to be the case for the fourth RAAD Fest. But if you could give our audience a bit of, let's say, a preview of some of the new aspects of this year's RAAD Fest that they could look forward to, I think that could motivate some people to choose to go.
Yeah, great. Well, we're always trying to add something new, as you've experienced. And what's great about our whole setup there, the way we do our agenda, is that, as you know, we believe in the power of togetherness and the impact of that. So we eat together, we're in the main room together at the same time. Then when the main room is completed, we open up the exhibit hall. And then, you know, in the exhibit hall, when the main room opens up again for speakers, we close the exhibit hall. So everybody's, you know, having the same experience together. So this year, though, in the RAAD City exhibit hall, we're going to have what's called a RAAD City Clinic. And this is very exciting because for the first time, people are going to be able to come in and get with the doctors that are there and other scientists in this clinic that's going to be set aside in the hall there, apart from the other exhibitors, have their own section, and they'll be able to get therapies there, take special blood tests. In fact, there's going to be a whole human trials program going on there. That's a lot of money, over $250,000 going to be put into that. So people can actually do certain blood tests and then come back the next year and get we'll get the results, and then they have therapies they can do and other, you know, different supplements and things to increase their health and help, you know, slow down their aging. And then the following year we'll measure those again. And so we've got a whole new program going there. So we're getting very proactive. If you slowing age down, you know, I'm thinking a lot of great new therapies are coming fast here, you know, exponentially, and we need to stay alive long enough to live as long as we want. So this is a really exciting what we're doing here, and the power of that sharing of information that goes on both in the main hall with the speakers and in the exhibit hall is phenomenal. I just talking to a couple individuals today were saying how just fantastic it was, and how powerful it was for them to get all the information they could never get anywhere else by sharing this face-to-face with people, going through the exhibit hall, hearing the speakers, and being able to actually apply things and get other experiences from people, how it worked with them. So that's what RAAD Fest is about. And we're sharing, and then these people share this information. The generosity of sharing information there is phenomenal. And then they go out and share this with the public. And then the press gets involved, and I don't know if they interviewed you last year. I know they wanted to, they came to me, but, you know, then they spread this information throughout the press. In fact, we're getting better press than ever. And this is what we want to get to, and sharing this information. So ideally, we're going to be able to, as this grows more and more, we're going to be able to share this information more dynamically with each other, all the powerful anti-aging and age reversal information, and then with the world. That's the whole vision.
Yes, indeed. And I have had a few interviews with members of the press, as well as other transhumanists and longevity experts as a result of RAAD Fest. It is a great venue for conversations, both formal and informal, for building bridges with others who think along similar lines as we do. Now, this is a good time to go back to your statement, which you've also expressed in other venues, that our common enemy is death and not one another. And I have endeavored to spread the same message through the U.S. Transhumanist Party, essentially getting people within our movement, or even people who think alike on certain issues, to focus on the task of essentially changing the world improving the chances for these technologies and treatments to come about. Now, I have to confess, sometimes that has been a challenge. Some people are more receptive to that message than others. And I wanted to know, what are some of your thoughts about how we can achieve more unity among transhumanists and life extension supporters? What can we do to advance that goal?
Well, we're always working in that very strongly here in People Unlimited. And you hear me say a lot at RAAD Fest, that very statement, you know, that we're not each other's enemies. Aging and death is our enemy. We need to be working together. And again, there's nothing wrong with good debate, but we shouldn't be, you know, fighting against each other per se. And look, it's very easy to form a clique. You know, I mean, I've been doing community since, you know, 1975, you know, and working on creating community because I felt the necessity to bring people together to share information and to inspire each other to live unlimited lives. So I've been working in that field for a long time. It's very easy, if you're not careful, to create a clique, you know, and push everybody else out, you know, thinking maybe you have the best thing going. So it's so crucial that we get that's important not to create these cliques, not to push other people out, you know, but to push away the clique consciousness, push away the tendency to go within. We need to come out, you know, we need to come out to everybody that wants to be alive and everybody else on the planet who, you know, maybe doesn't accept what we are right now or feel it. Give them that opportunity to feel it. By us really focusing and creating, I'll say, a big bonfire of life, we can create such a light and such a powerful source of information and changes within our own body of people that people will notice this, and they're already noticing this. And so, but if we get to this clique consciousness, and we have to fight that every day. I have to fight that in People Unlimited for, you know, friends and family and so forth, not to create cliques. That everybody's important in the room. Everybody has something to add, and we all should give each other that equal opportunity to do that. And so this is something that we need to adapt as futurists. And we're people, as transhumanists, we need to really begin to embrace the future on that level. And the future, there will be no cliques because we'll all see the common need for each other. So why not do that now? Why not to embrace the future now and begin to break through these things where we can really value each other and create what we really envision that needs to happen. We need to move fast on these things. We don't have the time we think we have. You know, there's a lot of great things happening, but boy, you know, 120,000 people at least a day are dying, as you know, from aging. We need to move now to help stop that. Just because you might be a young person, for example, and you think you're safe, no one's safe until we stop aging and death.
That's right. And in terms of making these treatments happen in time for us, whatever ages we might be at right now chronologically, we eventually want to become youthful biologically and keep that youthfulness indefinitely.
Exactly.
And I do think with the progress of science and technology, these treatments are going to arrive. But the big question is how many people can be saved by accelerating the arrival of these treatments. And one of our viewers has had a question that I wanted to pose to you because in the United States, the Food and Drug Administration often takes an extremely long time to review new medicines, new therapies, new medical devices. Typical approval process can last between 10 and 15 years and take many millions or sometimes billions of dollars in order to go through all of the clinical trials and the safety studies. So in your view, having looked at the field of rejuvenation treatments, to what extent has the FDA approval process hindered the advancement of life extension research and the ability of people to access medical treatments that could extend lifespans in the near future? Do you think it's a vast obstacle or a relatively minor obstacle?
Well, I think it's a pretty big obstacle, unfortunately. Whether the intent is totally there with the people who run the FDA or not, you know, the lobbyists, I think there's so much money involved, as you know, to push the pharmaceutical, you know, companies and so forth and so on, and what it takes to get some drug through the FDA or some new great therapy. I mean, it's just too slow. But that's all the more reason why we need to unite and not be, you know, fighting with each other at any level. Why we need to unite and unite the people. There's millions of people, I feel, in this country and millions in the world that really want to live and feel this way. And the more people we get, we'll create our own lobbyists, we'll create our own strong PAC, governmental PAC and political PAC. You guys are already doing that. We're already doing that with the transhumanists running for president. That's the beginning, but we're already, that's just a part of it. We need to all keep moving and unite in this way to create the energy, to create the impact of people, and that will impact the government. That will impact the FDA. That's the best thing we can do to fight this situation. We sit back in our living rooms and complain about the FDA. It does no good at all. We need to get out of our living rooms. We need to be at events like RAAD Fests. We need to support what's going on and begin to really be activists for this new life. Mm-hmm. That's That's what drove me out to do what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. That's why I created RAAD Fest. I said, I'm not going to sit back with people unlimited anymore. It's great, but I'm going to get out and create what I feel needs to be created with other people like you in this world that are doing such a great job.
Mm-hmm. So shifting the culture, shifting public attitudes toward the prospect of radical life extension is crucial, and that can drive political changes, that can drive both elected officials and regulators to see the feasibility of accelerating these treatments through the approval process or revising the laws to make it easier for research to proceed.
Yeah, so, I really believe it's the fastest course we can take to that purpose.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So do you think we are succeeding in shifting the general public's attitudes toward longevity and the prospect of radical life extension? And for this question, I want you to think back to the start of your activist days back in the 1970s. How are the responses that you're getting to your message today different from when you began your advocacy?
I know, right when you started to ask that question, I started to laugh because, well, it's so different now, and I'm so grateful. Because when I first started speaking with my partner, Bernadine Brown, back in 1972 about, super longevity and mortality, oh my gosh, I mean, we had, first of all, very few people that would listen. I mean, there were people who would get, excited about it, but most of the time we were just thought completely crazy. We looked for science, to back up what we were saying, and there was really none around at that time. I was doing all the supplements and everything I could do, that I thought was science at that time to stay healthy as possible. And I'm grateful for that because I'm healthy today. I think that contributed to that. But wow, it's changed so much, Gennady. Now, I mean, I think we really all made such big differences now. I'm grateful for what my partner and what we moved in. I'm grateful for all the pioneers like Bill Andrews and so many others, Bill Falloon and so many, go right on down the list, that and people like you now, they're jumping in and we're changing. Yes, it's changing faster. Now when I go out and I talk about super longevity, I talk about it everywhere, whether I'm in a restaurant, or wherever I go, people ask what I do. Now I don't get that type of crazy response. I mean, some people that roll their eyes, still, but we have so much great content and so much great things happening that when I begin to tell them that, they go, oh, that makes sense. And then they go look up things. They ask for my phone number sometimes and want to call me and talk to me about that. Or I'll tell them to go on, Google this or Google that. Check out the transhumanist movement. Check out, what Bill Andrews is saying or somebody else, and they'll go look up things. Then they'll email me on stuff. So yeah, now it's a whole different conversation. It's happening faster and faster. That's why, again, we need to all move to keep up this momentum.
Yes, indeed. And it's interesting. A lot of what you describe is consistent with my own impressions. Even looking back to the early 2000s, it was seen as still quite unusual to be advocating for the prospect of radical or indefinite life extension. But now when I bring it up in the context of advances in science and technology being able to achieve longevity escape velocity within a few decades' time, about 50% of the people who hear me are fairly enthusiastic or at least curious about this message. And not all of them are going to become activists for the cause, but they will hear me out and they will recognize the merit in what I'm saying. The other 50% still put forth the common reservations like, what about overpopulation? What about boredom? What about dictators living forever? But those are fairly easy to respond to, and I can have a conversation with them about those
Yeah.
types of arguments. And generally speaking, there is not a lot of extreme hostility toward the concept, even among people who are
No.
skeptical. So that is
That's
quite
right.
encouraging. Now,
Yes, it
we've
is.
had
It is.
we've had a very vibrant discussion in the chat, and I wanted to highlight a few of the questions and comments. A lot of people have stated that they're excited about this interview, that they're super proud to support the extraordinary event that is RAAD Fest and all the movement around it. And there are some people who have said, right on, Jim Strole. So people have liked what you had to say.
Cheers.
Now, I had one of the audience members ask, is there a link to register for the Transhumanist Party? And there is. It is transhumanist-party.org/membership. So if you go to transhumanist-party.org/membership, you can become a member of the U.S. Transhumanist Party for free in less than a minute. There were some people asking about the dates for RAAD Fest. Those will be October 3rd through the 6th in Las Vegas, and you can go to raadfest.com to see the full schedule thus far. So there is a lot of new content. There are new findings about NAD, new findings on cognitive enhancement, organ rejuvenation with stem cells, enhanced immunity, pet longevity, apparently,
pet
may be
longevity.
a subject.
Well, what's a great thing, because you know how people love their pets. I mean, I have pets, and they say, I have people a lot of times ask me, you know, wow, I want to live forever, but I want my pets to too. Well, this can happen. I mean, there's already some great studies going. George Church, they're doing some studies. Others, you know, some of our top scientists with animals and dogs and so forth, you know. So yeah, I'm excited for this panel to be on there, because, you know, it will also demonstrate to us by these studies also what can be done with us as humans. But yeah, I want my pets to live, and, you know, we love them. We want everybody to live that wants to be alive, right?
That's right. That's right. And indeed, I have 2 cats who are 9 years old right now.
Oh, wow.
And I've been taking good care of them. They're indoor-only cats. They are quite pampered, but they're in good health right now. I certainly want them to stay in good health indefinitely. So if some of these advances can become available within the next decade, I would be quite interested for my cats to benefit from them.
Right. Well, that's a great thing too. At RAAD Fest, we're going to have all these different, you know, talks on, like I said, pet health, pet longevity, brain enhancement, you know, everything around super longevity and every facet of our life. So that's another great thing that we've brought together for everybody to actually really benefit from.
Yes, indeed. Now, a lot of the questions in the chat also pertain to transhumanism, and some of the viewers want to know more about transhumanism and how it relates to technology and life extension. So I'll go into a few of the questions. One question asks, does the Transhumanist Party support the belief in God? And my answer is, transhumanists don't have a single particular religion or view on religion. Some transhumanists are religious. Other transhumanists are atheists. For instance, I myself am an atheist. But not having a religious belief is also not required to be a transhumanist. A transhumanist is someone who supports science and technology to improve the human condition in any of a variety of respects, from extending lifespans and curing diseases to increasing our productive capabilities through more automation or cognitive enhancement, to extending the reach of the human species through space colonization or designing new habitats. One of the viewers asks, does transhumanism equal artificial intelligence? And the answer is no. Artificial intelligence could be an area of interest for transhumanists, and certainly an area into which many transhumanists have devoted some research efforts. And artificial intelligence can help achieve new cures for diseases. For instance, with the famous example of IBM's Watson being put to use in medical diagnostic settings. However, artificial intelligence is certainly not the sole focus. And this viewer was concerned about whether there might be a downside to developing artificial intelligence, or whether there's a possibility of AI getting into the wrong hands and controlling us. There's a lot of focus in the transhumanist community on ethical approaches to AI and AI research. And actually, some of the guests at RAAD Fests are experts in that. Dr. Ben Gertzel, for instance, has been studying this particular subject for decades. And at a previous RAAD Fest, you had Peter Voss, who is another renowned expert on artificial intelligence, with whom I've spoken on a panel in the past. So a lot of transhumanists are focused on the safe and ethical development of artificial intelligence for the benefit of humankind, and for the ability of humankind to achieve great breakthroughs, such as curing diseases and extending lifespans. So there is a strong connection, a strong synergy between transhumanism and radical life extension. And indeed, one of our viewers has also asked if we could describe the synergistic effects of the transhumanist and life extension movements working together. And I'll let you take this question, Jim, and share your thoughts on what you think some of these synergies might be.
Well, you know, the transhumanists, like you said, want to use science and technology to extend life. Well, that's what the radical life extension community is all about. I mean, we're not going to live without innovations. You know, we're not going to live super longevity or extended lives past what would be called the biological barrier. Right around 125 is that barrier that we seem to run into. And without innovations, we're not going to be able to live past that. Not with vitality and not with strength. And this is what we're talking about: living extended lifespans with vitality and strength, getting better all the time. It possibly even, and that's what I'm excited about, that's happening now, is the science of actually reversing age through many different technologies that are now already being worked on strongly and ready. Some of them ready to go into human trials. So, you know, transhumanism is really all about that. Like you said, I'm a transhumanist. You know, I joined because I love your policies. I love your whole the whole way you set up the party and what you stand for. I mean, you've got it written in there. I read it today that, you know, let's not fight each other. Let's work together, and let's create a world that we can all really live in. And so, yeah, we're right in line with each other. And I think it's so important that anybody who's listening to this, a transhumanist, actually, what I'm interested in doing in this conversation is to create activists. To me, if you feel, have some type of sense of what we're all doing here together, let's not be passive about any of us. It's great. You might be doing communications through the internet. That's great. But there's something more for us all to get connected to, and that's that we go live with each other. You know, we get involved and engaged in every way. We need you at RAAD Fest. We need you involved in everything that's going on in the radical life extension community. Become an activist. That's the difference between somebody who's sitting back, and that's why I also like what you're doing, Gennady, in every sense of the word. You're definitely an activist. You're your example of what it is to be an activist. You speak, eat, and drink. You know, transhumanism.
That's right.
And yeah, and that's the exciting. That's how I am. And really, it's the most exciting life to live. And look, you have differences of opinions from me. You know, I don't know why, but you do. No, we're very few things. We agree on the main principles, and that's what's important.
Yes.
Okay, and so we find true camaraderie in that, and that's what builds this world. Is where we can get that we can have, and we're gonna have differences of opinions, but by working together, we're doing something amazing, and we need to push that envelope. We need to get going. Like I said, there's an expediency in this. We can't sit back on our laurels and think, oh, it's all going to happen. You know, we thought that too many times. We have the power. We have the power. I feel, Gennady, all of us have the power now. We're creating the power together to really make it happen and support what's being done.
Yes, absolutely. That was extremely eloquently stated, and I completely agree with you, Jim. I think many in our audience agree with you as well. One of the commentators stated, "Thank you for that great explanation about transhumanism. I can see now why life extension activists should support the Transhumanist Party." So I think you really drove that point across. And for me, I'm reminded of a statement from Ralph Waldo Emerson: "Nothing can bring you peace but the triumph of principles." So if you have, thank you, and that's a great sentiment that has inspired me for over 15 years now. If you have principles that you value, whatever they might be, as long as they're constructive for the benefit of human well-being, if you live by those principles, you are going to be at peace internally, and you are going to have a life that you enjoy, a life that you will consider worthwhile to extend indefinitely. And for me, one of my most closely held principles is the preservation and prolongation of human life. That is the noblest cause we can work for right now, given how close we are to actually achieving breakthroughs, getting beyond that 125-year barrier. So I do agree with you, we need more activists. And I can say from personal experience, one person can make a tremendous difference in this movement right now. So I would encourage all of our viewers, get involved with supporting radical life extension. Come to RAAD Fests October 3rd through October 6th in Las Vegas. See what it's all about. Hear from the scientists. Meet other members of the community. Join the Transhumanist Party. It's quick, it's easy, it's free, and you will also get connected to a network of advocates for a wide variety of emerging technologies. One of our commenters says, "I am so excited to be part of this wonderful moment against aging and death with Jim Strole. It is so amazing to feel and know that we have a future." And that's a future that we're going to have to build together, because I agree, nobody is going to build it for us. Scientific progress is wonderful, and it has achieved amazing types of discoveries and quality of life improvements, but it is not inevitable. There have been eras of human history where humankind actually went backwards, say after the fall of the Roman Empire. And we don't want to be in that situation.
No more backwards stuff. And let me say, Gennady, you know what? Thank you so much for this whole expression you just said. And I'm in 100% agreement with you.
Wonderful.
Yeah, it was beautiful, your whole expression. Thank you.
Yes, indeed. Thank you, Jim. And one of our other commentators expresses an interest in finding out more about personalized metabolomics and the interactions between the human microbiome as a way to extend life. And I understand you're going to have some experts at RAAD Fest to talk about these areas. And yeah, that's a fascinating subject too.
It is.
That involves kind of the intersection of medicine and lifestyle. Increasingly, people are becoming more conscious of their diets and how they affect the composition of the bacteria in their digestive system, and how that either helps or hinders their longevity. So another fascinating area to delve into.
It is. It's a big topic now, and very powerful topic. And yeah, we're going to have some real top people speaking on that.
Great. So now I would like to invite for a special appearance one of the candidates in the U.S. Transhumanist Party primary process, Yohanan Ben Zion, or Ben, who is also a fellow resident of Arizona and the chairman of the Arizona Transhumanist Party. So he has been quite interested to meet you, Jim, and say hello. Ben, are you on right now?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hey, hi, Ben.
Hey, Jim. Good to. You can't see me, but it's good to see you again.
I see you. I see you in a little bit of a square here.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, you got it. I think. Yeah. 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 Great to have you on.
Yeah, it's wonderful just to be able to say hello to you again, and I want to thank you for spearheading this revolution against aging and death.
Thank you.
I don't know if everybody realizes, but James Strole is a man who's really had the foresight to support life extension at a time when he knew that this would soon be a mainstream biomedical reality, and literally almost no one else had that perspicacity. And it's a bolder choice than other people have made. We cannot minimize the importance of what you guys were just talking about, pure research, and the roles that people are playing in those areas. But supporting the emerging culture, bringing all of those people together in a conversation, to advancing a longevity escape velocity in the way that you have, you are truly a trailblazer, sir. I thank you for that.
Thank you so much, Ben. I appreciate that, and thank you for everything you're doing. Yeah,
yes.
It's great. We're all a team together. We're all in this together, and I'm just thrilled to be involved with all of you.
Yes, indeed.
One of your commenters, you mentioned this, describing the synergistic effects of the transhumanist movement and a life extensionist movement. I spoke for a moment to the I just did a testimonial for the MILE, and it should be up pretty soon. And we're talking about this very subject. I feel that of all of the subjects of interest to techno-optimists, that life extensionists and life extensionist goals and a universal longevity escape velocity should be at the top of our list. Mm-hmm. I wonder what the viewers and you guys think about that.
Well,
yes, indeed.
Go ahead, Gennady.
Well, I see life extension as the prerequisite for all of the other technological achievements if we hope to benefit from them for a sufficiently long time. I mean, we have to stay alive in order to see the real effects of space colonization come to fruition, or, for instance, massive projects to help improve the Earth's climate or avert natural disasters or prevent another ice age. Any type of advanced futuristic technology that we can think of would be greatly aided by indefinite lifespans, because one, we're going to be around to witness it and benefit from it, and two, we're going to be more motivated to develop those other technologies if we have the time to do it. How often do we wish that we could have done something, been involved in a particular project or taken up a new skill or a new hobby, but there's only so much time in the day, and right now, unfortunately, our lives are still so short. If we could lift those constraints, we could achieve technological wonders in other areas.
Exactly. And we've been so caught up in survival most of the time. That's the thing, I talk about this all the time, that, dealing with everything from relationships to money to you name it. And this buying ourselves or getting ourselves more unlimited time and extending our time on this planet will also take us out of survival and into creativity. And that's where we need to be. We'll be creating more time in creating what we really want to see and what we desire personally and together.
Yes, indeed.
I think what you guys said of longevity escape velocity and the relationship to technology, the converse is also true. Diego Velasquez in the comments mentioned Elon Musk's Neuralink project, and I was kind of planning to go straight to that. It ends shortly after this. That will be starting that live stream. But that kind of project itself, our ability to use that sort of very powerful technology, just the way that we've been sort of upgraded by having a smartphone in our hands. My life was a rather different thing before smartphones 10 years ago. I think we can say that of almost everyone we know. And this is sort of an exponential kind of affect these brain-computer interfaces, and we can be using technologies like this to advance a universal longevity escape velocity.
Yeah, that's great.
Right. I wonder if at RAAD Fest 2029 we'll be having little brain-computer interfaces that we can use to connect with the speakers and maybe even ask them questions directly, feeding into their minds and getting an answer directly in our minds.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yes,
there's so much to envision that way, right? I mean, wow, what an exciting world. When some people say they're worried about being bored, oh my gosh, I can't imagine a boring moment, you know? But it kind of, I guess it kind of illustrates maybe the life we're living now. But that's all the more reason for anybody who's, you know, not on board yet for, you know, super longevity. Maybe you should take that jump, because it takes you out of that boring life too. Because boredom will kill you in itself.
Right. And I have never had a boring moment since I became a supporter of radical life extension. And so I was a very early supporter. Actually, at the age of 5, I promised to devote my life to the struggle against death. So
wow, that's beautiful.
Yes, and I understand there are many children growing up within the life extensionist communities who go to RAAD Fest as well, and who are exposed to this information early on, so that they know that there's another path, that they don't have to accept mortality as inevitable. So when they grow up, I'm looking forward to some great achievements and great contributions from them.
For sure.
I don't think that the people who make those staunchly humanist arguments against life extension have really considered all of the problems that we're going to be able to solve in that longer time frame, as you guys were saying, and also just the nature of hyper reality. It's not a boring place now, and it's not going to be a boring place in a few more years either.
That's for sure.
Yes, the world is fascinating, and there's always more to explore. Now, before we close, I want to bring attention to a few of our remaining comments that have been posted since I last checked the chat. One of our viewers says, yes, the only way to achieve the transhumanist agenda is through super longevity. And I would agree, at least in terms of achieving it for us within our lifetimes. We need this baseline extension of lifespans so that we can work on all of the other projects. Then another viewer writes, the genius of RAAD Fest is bringing together experts in so many fields. There's a wealth of cutting edge information. And I would agree with that. We've had not just medical doctors and scientists who are experts in biology, but we've had experts in artificial intelligence. We've had health coaches. We've had experts in psychology, investors speaking at RAAD Fest. So it's definitely a meeting of the minds. And another viewer echoes that. She says, I look forward to seeing the world's leading experts in age reversal at Las Vegas, at RAAD Fest in Las Vegas. It's beyond life extension. Wow. Wow, indeed.
Wow, that's a statement. There you go.
And one final comment from a viewer who says, I attended every RAAD Fest so far, and I am registered for October in Vegas. I will not miss this opportunity to participate in the most important event to advance human life, to end aging and death. So excellent. Well, we look forward to seeing you there. And I hope those who watched this conversation and haven't signed up for RAAD Fest yet will consider attending. I definitely believe it is time well spent. You will meet people who are involved in just fascinating research activities, and you will create a network of support for your longevity and for your health. Generally, the attendees are just excellent people with whom it's a pleasure to converse. It's one of the most vibrant intellectual scenes that I've certainly visited, and I spent a lot of time in academia, so
You
I
definitely
can
have.
I can say RAAD Fest is of an intellectual caliber that rivals academia in terms of the wealth of knowledge that you can gain there.
And we have a lot of fun there too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah.
So we hope that as many of you as possible can take advantage of the new venue in Las Vegas. It should definitely be a memorable experience. I hope it will be the best RAAD Fest yet. Thank you very much, Jim, for joining us. This has been an excellent and informative conversation. And Ben, thank you for stopping by as well and sharing your thoughts.
Yes, thank you for letting me
try. Yeah, thank you, Ben. Thank you for coming on.
Yeah. And people, please do make plans to attend RAAD Fest and get involved with People Unlimited. We should have People Unlimited chapters in every city in America.
Yeah, thank you for that.
And similarly, sign up to vote for the sign up and register with the Transhumanist Party. No matter who your candidate is, what you're doing by joining this party is taking a stand in this most pivotal moment in history for life extensionists. So please do that. Get involved in every facet of your life with these important ideas. Thank you so much, James, for what you do.
Thank you. Well said, Ben. Appreciate it so much. Thanks again, Gennady.
Yes. Thank you, Jim.
I'll see you all at RAAD Fest, if not before.
That's right. RAADfest.com and transhumanist-party.org. Thank you, everyone, and have a good night.
Thank you.